Hey guys, let's take a look at He-Man and Battlecat from the vintage line, the Origins line, and the recent Netflix CGI series line. We'll start with vintage He-Man. Let's scoot these fellas over to the side just a moment. Now, our vintage He-Man came with battle axe, his shield, and his power sword, which was used to open the gate to Castle Grayskull, or the Jawbridge, whichever you would like to call it. He has a spring-back action. You can move his arms and his legs. His legs are held together with a band that tends to break. The most common thing you'll see with these figures is the legs are wobbly and it will not stand. This one luckily will stand, but he does have some wear and discoloration. As far as Battlecat is concerned, this was a reuse mode from the Big Jim toy line. I believe it was also used for the Tarzan line. This thing has been multiple tigers, panthers. I've even seen and actually own a bootleg brass one. So that's a kind of a neat little tidbit for that. He has no articulation. It's just a hollow plastic shell, which was a fun toy back in the 80s to have your He-Man ride on, but this guy has really nothing else going for him other than just to stand there and look cool. And for He-Man to ride in on. But still, it is a highly collectible piece. Most collectors at least have one of these or more. I have a couple myself. So let me see, set him back here. Now, the upgrade that we got in the last couple years. This is the Masters of the Universe Origins line. The packaging just says Retro Play. It does not say Origins anywhere, but that is what it's referred to as. He has the same weapons. They do look a little different, but it's the same basic concept. He still has that same build, same body shape, with just the articulation added in. So he's got full range of motion on his arms, elbows. He can turn his wrists. The hands are removable. He has knee joints, ankle joints. He can spin his ankles. Of course, you can turn them around. Now, because these things have removable parts, they do not have that spring back action like the original does. These guys are easy to take apart. So a lot of people are already using these to make a lot of custom figures. Also, the heads are easy to take apart. Now, this figure that I have is one of the original releases from the 2020, I believe. I do have the Battle Armor He-Man retro head put on this body because that's just how I prefer to display it. They did re-release this figure with the same head, but I already owned one and didn't see a need to get another. They did add a little place to hang the sword on his back, which is pretty cool. All in all, it's a good figure. Very, very similar to the original. As far as the color scheme, as you can tell, the boots are a little different. These are painted brown with the yellow fur. And then you also have brown and orange as far as the loincloth and belt, but they just went with a different shade. Now, one thing that is kind of different is we're finally getting He-Man with painted gauntlets. And then they used the same gauntlet on both sides, whereas the original had that little half gauntlet shield, whatever you want to call it. But you can see where they drew their inspiration from when they were creating the Origins line. Basically taking all the old vintage figures and giving them the modern upgrade. So if you pose them basically the same way, they're about the same height, but these guys actually stand a little bit taller. Let's get the, let's see, where is it? Here we go. We'll get the ruler out. As you can see, the original, right at that 5.5 mark. Now this guy, fully standing, he's closer to the 6. Alright, so I almost forgot Battlecat from the Origins line. So let's put old He-Man to the side here and take a look at this Battlecat. Right off the bat, you'll notice that the coloring is much more vibrant than the vintage Battlecat. It's also a lot larger, which is fine. It should be. It's got more articulation. Take the helmet off, just like with the vintage, except this time you have an articulated jaw, which is pretty cool. You can take off the armor, just like with the vintage. And you get a pretty decent representation of Cringer. As far as the articulation on this, you have the legs. They have a knee joint, but they do not have the articulation in the foot. There's no pivot point on the foot, which makes it very awkward to try to do poses because the legs just want to bend like that. The back legs, the same thing. You have some articulation. You get a little bit of a knee, but honestly, it doesn't really do a whole lot. Just a little bend there. The tail will rotate, and you do have a pivot point there. But it's still a lot better than the original. You also have the neck that moves up and down too, with a bit of a turn on the head. It's a cool figure. Definitely an upgrade over the original that you could not pose whatsoever. Like I said, I do wish they had put the articulation in the ankles, but for what it is, it's pretty decent. You know, definitely an upgrade. All right. So, I'll get it cut back into where we left off. We'll set them aside, and then we'll take a look at the CGI He-Man, who's very, very different. All right, let's make some room here. All right, so He-Man and Battlecat. This Battlecat is completely different. Number one, I have to say that on the show, he's a completely different character than what we're used to. He's still Cringer. He's still Battlecat when he's powered up, but he's a complete different character. He's fully realized. He's like the wise one, the mentor somewhat to the group. He's not a cowardly tiger hiding every time Adam gets in trouble. This guy's actually really cool, and I really dig what they did with the character in the show, and I dig the storyline that revolves around his claws. So if you have not watched the CGI He-Man, I would definitely recommend watching that. All right, but the figure itself, he has quite a bit of articulation, a lot more than the Origins Battlecat. Here, as you can see, we can do a lot with the ankles. He has a spring back action. You can turn his head. He does have the jaw that you can open and close, just like the Origins. Now the big difference here is He-Man. So before we put He-Man on Battlecat, let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. He's a lot different. I will admit, initially, seeing the design, I thought, what is this? I thought it was ridiculous looking. But then I saw the show, and I saw what they were able to do and how they were able to recapture the magic of the original series by completely retelling it and giving it a modern update. And I love it. I really do. He does look silly. He does have a Disney look to him with the big arms. Almost makes you think Mr. Incredible or something silly like that. And the CG is really good, so I recommend the show. But he has your regular arm movement. You can rotate his wrists. He can turn his head. His legs do move back and forth freely, but he does not have any ankle articulation or rotation. You can turn him a little bit at the waist, but the action feature is the spring forward effect that he has, whereas He-Man had that twist and punch feature. This guy springs forward. The only weapon that he comes with, or the only accessory, is his power sword. And much like the 2000X series, Mattel opted for a ridiculously oversized sword, but it fits in with the show just fine, and I like it. It took me a bit to get used to it, but now I really like it. Okay, so the sword, you can put on his back. He's got a little peg hoe for him to carry it. All right. To put He-Man on Battlecat, and first let me just say, in season 1 and season 2 of the show, I think we only actually saw him ride Battlecat like once. Because Battlecat, like I said, he's a part of the team. He's one of the masters of the universe. He's not just a vehicle or a pet. But for He-Man to go on Battlecat, he has these little slots here that match up with He-Man's little sash. I'm not sure what you call that. So you line them up. They essentially just kind of help him set on Battlecat. And that's really it. He doesn't stay on too great, so I mean, you're not going to get a whole lot of action out of this as far as poses and stuff. Basically this right here is about all that you're going to get out of it. But it's still neat. It still looks cool. I really dig the design. I like that they really went for it as far as updating the character and not just sticking to the same old. Kind of like what the Netflix Masters Universe Revelation show did, where they didn't really do any redesigns, anything on the characters. They just changed all the characters' motives and made a lot of people angry. But anyway, so that's that. That's our comparison for our 3 different He-Mans and Battlecats. I'll have more later. I'm sure we can take a look at the Masterverse He-Man and Battlecat. That thing is huge. It will take up most of the display here, so I don't know how much we're going to get to compare it to others, but we'll try to do that soon. If you guys enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if there's anything I missed in this review, or anything you think I should do in the future. You guys have a great day. I appreciate you watching. Thanks. Okay, so a little bonus. Here is the brass Battlecat that I was referring to earlier. I believe this was made in India. I do not know the date on it, but from what I could find online, these were probably made actually off of the original Big Jim or Tarzan cats. And apparently they were a popular thing to do overseas. So the scale wise, it's just a hair smaller than the original, which probably has to do with the way the molding works and how they were able to make a copy of it. It's a neat find. You don't really see these anywhere. I picked this up at a vendor's market. But it's cool. It's cool to have to display next to all my other He-Man stuff. Thanks for watching.